Greetings, Ashes reporting for duty. Right now, I have a problem. I spent so many hours on a survival game. And the wild thing is, I'm not a huge survival games fan. When I play one, I would spend a couple of hours on it before eventually dropping it, and without ever making it to the end game. However, this game is the exception. Not only did I manage to beat the game, but I'm also in the process of doing a second playthrough. And this game is called Abiotic Factor. Abiotic Factor is a survival crafty game. What makes this game stand out for me is the setting. This game takes heavy inspiration from Half-Life 1, arguably bordering on 1-to-1. You're trapped in an underground facility that's undergoing its own resonance cascade. Alien creatures are running rampant in the facility, and there just happens to be a military faction that's also invaded too. But instead of playing as Gordon Freeman, you play as a nameless scientist who just arrived before a disaster struck. So now you have to use your wits in order to stay alive and escape the Gate Cascade facility. Sprinkle in some elements of SCP into the mix and it creates this unique atmosphere that is unlike anything I've ever seen in a survival game. Before we continue, this video will be spoiler free. I won't talk about the game's major story beats, and the gameplay you see will only be on the first 3 areas of the game. So with that out of the way, let's start talking about its gameplay. Because Abiotic Factor is a survival game, it has the mechanics that we're all familiar with. You have your hunger and thirst to manage, as well as your sleep and toilet needs. And of course, you have to explore your surroundings to find supplies that'll help you stay alive. And this is where Abiotic Factor takes full advantage of its setting to twist those familiar mechanics. Instead of chopping down trees for wood, you're breaking open computers for their parts. Instead of turning a patch of land into a base, you're turning an office space into a comfy home. And instead of hunting down wild animals for food, you're hunting down alien creatures and using their meat for food. Yeah, I'm sure this is safe to eat. Of course, you got your crafting too. You can craft basic stuff like a bed or a stove. However, you can craft some really wacky stuff in this game too, like a Tesla coil that shoots lightning at anything that moves, including yourself, a gun that shoots saw blades and can bounce off of walls, or my personal favorite, mug nades, coffee mugs that are turned into improvised explosives. And they aren't easy to make either, requiring soil as one of the materials needed to craft them. However, finding soil in an underground facility is quite difficult, so if you can't find soil, why not make it yourself? The process of which involves drinking copious amounts of coffee, using a makeshift toilet to collect the aftermath, and turning that excrement into soil we need to make our homemade grenades. And the ragdolls that happens when you hit someone with these are just... It's wonderful. I absolutely love this. Not only is the process humorous, like my body is a machine that turns bag of feces into mug nades, but it's also pretty clever too. You feel like a scientist using your brain to come up with these ridiculous yet creative solutions, and you can't argue with results like these. But what good are all these inventions if you don't have a compelling world to explore? And the Gate Cascade facility is the best place you can ask for. The game is structured in that you go through a sector of the facility and complete a set of objectives in order to progress. You are told what to do on the top left, but how you are supposed to do it is largely up to you to figure out, so you have to rely on info from your journal and your coworkers to know where to go and what to do. As you progress and unlock new sectors in the facility, they'll all connect back to the first sector you started in, offices. So Office acts like the central hub that ties everything together, and this detail helps sell the idea that the Gate Cascade facility is a real living place before you arrived. But don't think you'll be stuck in the underground facility for the entire game. Eventually you'll come across portal worlds. They are exactly as they sound, portals that take you to another world. And they are not one-off set pieces either, as they contain valuable loot and that loot can respawn over time. So it's not uncommon to revisit these areas to farm supplies. Right now I'm showing you the first portal world you can find, called Far Garden. It's very reminiscent of Zen from Half-Life, except this one is way shorter. I won't show any more because I don't want to spoil you on the surprise, and believe me, these portal worlds take you to some crazy places. But we're not done yet, because once you reach labs, that's when the SCP influence starts to show. This is where you'll find immurement subjects, or ISs, in their containment cells, and Gate has their own terminology that determines their level of danger. You can even find some ISs roaming around in the facility, some of them helpful, and others, not so much. And the driving reason why I keep coming back to this game is just how satisfying the progression is. It's like the developers looked at every tedious aspect of a survival game and sought to get rid of them as much as possible. But the catch is that the players have to earn it. For example, when it comes to crafting, it can be a drag, as the process involves looking up what materials you need, finding them in your chests, and then crafting them. However, with a helpful little upgrade you can make to your crafting bench, it can take all of the required items you need from your chest, completely eliminating the process of finding it yourself. And the same goes for dumping your loot too. Instead of doing it manually, you'll eventually learn to craft a literal teleporter pad that does the work for you. Hell, they even thought about removing the tedium of splitting items in your stack. There are many times where you just want one item out of a stack. What you would normally do is open a menu and move a slider all the way to the left to get your single item. But instead, there's a dedicated button that literally says just one. That is such a small but greatly appreciated detail. This is what keeps me playing Abiotic Factor. When I start a new playthrough, I know I can remove all the tedium that naturally comes with a survival game. And that progression from a scientist struggling to survive to thriving with tools that makes life easier is so rewarding. Before I conclude this video, I do want to talk a bit about my previous video that I made a while ago. I did mention that I was going to be streaming and I even had a schedule planned and everything, but instead I decided to pivot to making videos on this channel. Streaming isn't completely off the table, but I'll probably have more fun doing it if I had an audience to interact with. I have a lot of ideas that I want to make into a video, and don't expect me to cover one game. I won't share too much, but what I can tell you is that the next video will be a live commentary, featuring a base tour for both my first and second playthrough of this game. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.